Let's go, let's go, let's go. Welcome, everybody. It is Thursday, 10:45 a.m. Look, I would prefer to do these earlier streams, so hopefully these would go well. For East Coast folks, I guess that's like really good. And we're going to take your questions. We're going to deal with some stuff that you guys are thinking through. Excuse me. And then we got some fun announcements. My boy Tom's in the house. And we got an announcement that's going to involve him. And then I'm going to be off to prepare and plan for a radio show that I'm doing today on 99.5 KKLA. And you can also listen to that at 3 p.m. on KKLA. .com. You can check that out. Got a little announcement about our website. I woke up to no website today. And so it's a fun day. We're working on all that stuff. Lots of stuff going on. Drop a comment, say what's going on. And we'll deal with all that stuff. So hey, what's going on? God bless you. Said hi to Tom. Righteous through Christ. Yeah. Tapping in from the beautiful city of Phoenix, Arizona. Arizona is going to be very important in the next election. And we got some election conversations that are going to be coming up. Raven, how you doing? And so what I wanted to do was do the stream, take your questions and deal with whatever questions you guys have, what the Bible teaches. I want to deal with some philosophy. I was listening to a philosophy podcast today. My favorite philosophy podcast is The History of Philosophy Without Any Gaps. And if you're not a person who listens to The History of Philosophy Without Any Gaps, you need to be a person who listens to The History of Philosophy Without Any Gaps. If you and you can be a seasoned philosopher and listen to that podcast, and it's going to benefit you. As a matter of fact, just start at the beginning and just go through chronologically, because that's the way they're doing it. Or you have specific philosophers. I'm sure he's dealt with them. He was today's episode was on, I listened to 1.5 episodes, but one of them was on two Jewish philosophers. I forget their names, but they're medieval philosophers, late medieval philosophers. And they had some stuff to say about one of my favorite topics that involves philosophy and religion is God's relationship with time. And then the other one that I listened to half of, and I got to finish it up, is Jewish philosophers and their thoughts on the book of Job. So I'll finish that. I think JR's in the house. Jerome, what's up, man? Jerome might be interested in that. I don't know. I might just text you that. So greetings, welcome as people trickle in. I got my Bible software open. I just updated my Bible software. I want to get in contact with Logos and have them back on to promote this, because they've made it a lot more affordable for the rest of you guys who aren't building gigantic libraries. But hopefully we'll have Logos back on. We'll do some kind of a promo deal for you guys. So hang on to your hats on that stuff, because I'm really excited with the way Logos is going with their software. Hey, came across your video with Joel earlier. Didn't know about all of that. Wow. Jerome, man, that was some time ago. Yeah, Joel's serious dude dealing with serious issues around the world, man. Jacob, what's going on? Hello, this is my first time catching you live. May Yahweh bless you and all who visit the channel. Thank you, Jacob. I think I've seen, I try to remember these things, but I think you've commented on their videos, and I've either liked or responded to that. So, Jacob, I'm glad that you are on here with us live. So, I was about to say that I'm going to have to listen to that podcast now. Yep. Yeah, again, it's very interesting. Jewish thought in the medieval world is like a spectrum of stuff, and it's very interesting. Again, not necessarily would I agree with everything that's being said, obviously, on those issues. Arthur, have you tried the new AI features on Logos? So I've gotten it. I can't say that I've dealt with it in the sense of like sitting there. My days have been really, really packed the last couple of days. The last like 3 days have been insane. So I haven't really had the time to sit there and dig around and kind of play around and all that stuff, but I will. But it looks good. I like the whole summary aspect. There's a lot of stuff. I really want to do a promo thing where we have someone come in and actually like run it and show it, because it's phenomenal. So if you're thinking about buying logos and you're on my channel, you're one of the people that's committed to this channel, just hang on before you buy it until we have someone on, because I'd like to get you guys a promo code to get you guys a cheaper sort of thing. That's another way to support the channel. Like the last time we had him on, we were able to sell, I don't know how many, but I ended up getting a check, I don't know, for about like $100 to $200, which is fine. That's great. It benefits people. People got a discount. We got money. Logo sold something. So it just benefits everyone. So, so all of that is good. So let me know what you've been thinking about when it comes to just your life, when it comes to worldview formation, when it comes to apologetics, when it comes to Christianity, it comes specifically to the Bible. And then we'll run with that. So I'm going to let you guys lead it. If you guys have videos that you guys are I was just listening to a Justin Bieber song. I don't think I've ever listened to a Justin Bieber song. Like, intentionally sat there and said, I'm going to listen to a Bieber song. Wow. And that might have been the song that I sort of kind of pre-reviewed last time. But man, that was such a good song. And it's about Jesus. Quite a bit of brokenness in that song, man. My heart goes out. Towards the end of the year, they do a steep discount on the older versions. Maybe that would be the best time to do the promo. So here's what I'm going to say is that the newer, well, that stuff's like out the window is what I'm trying to say in regards to the older versions. Logos is moving completely to a subscription-based model. And I like what they're doing. It's cheaper. You're going to get all the software advantages being on a subscription. And you can build your library however you want to build your library. And I really, really like that. Now, I have a built-in library because I've purchased it over the years, and I've been spending money with Logos since, I don't know, 2006, 7, something like that, 8. No, sorry. I take that back. Much later than that. Trying to get my, I don't know when the first time. I bought Logos 5, let's put it that way. Whenever Logos 5 came out. And yeah, so I'm going to try to reach out and have someone on, and then we can go through that. But I think it's like way more affordable, you guys. That's just coming out of my own use and my own excitement for the software. I like the software. And it was very difficult at times recommending it to people who were not gonna spend thousands of dollars because they're not they're not in ministry. But now I feel completely fine recommending it. Not that I wasn't. I was just like, hey, do you want to take on a cost like that? And somebody might be willing to spend $1,000 and get in all that stuff. Now I think it's a lot more affordable for your average Christian to not have to make that kind of an investment. Get the subscription, and it's a couple of cups of coffee a week. You get a really, really cool software with the subscription. And if you want to buy books into it, or if you want to buy a larger package, you can. All that's cool stuff. Arthur, let's get Arthur the collection edition. Oh, man. I think that kind of money would be better used in other areas. Have you heard the song Yahweh by Sam Rivera? It's very good. I have not, Jacob. I have not. I can't say that I consume music like that. I'm weird when it comes to the sort of music I listen to, so. But I'll I just bookmarked it so I can listen to it later. Hey guys, we're 10 subscribers away from 6K. Well, now we just lost a subscriber. Yes, we're 11 subscribers away from 6,000. That's hilarious. Oh man, God is so good. I love it. I hadn't refreshed my page. And I refreshed it. I was like, oh, we just lost one. I went live and we lost a subscriber. Somebody goes, oh, let me subscribe to the channel. They accidentally subscribe to the channel. I go live. They're like, wait, I didn't want that. Hey, you guys, I've been trying to put out more videos. And I'm trying to put out a video and a short a day. Okay, so look out for that stuff. Share it. Like it, because these things always help in regards to kind of making us more visible. So that was hilarious, man. Really, really. Wow. Shout outs to Tom for his singing. He's got a singing voice. Props. Hey, I'm thinking. Oh man, should I see this or should I not? Wow, let's just put it this way: that I have it in my mind to do something on cults, but like what potentially leads to like full-blown cults. Because, once in a while, I'll tell you this. So we did that reaction video to a guy that I can't say I've heard of before that, but I guess he's very popular, Richard Lorenzo. And I've watched some of his stuff. He did some kind of a stream the other day after we did our stream. I'm just going to leave that there. And I see trends as someone who, hey, we got the 1 subscriber back. Whoever it is playing around with those things. As someone who has been paying close attention, just for apologetic purposes, like when I became a Christian, I started dealing with Jehovah's Witnesses and Mormons, and then just like those sorts of things. And in Walter Martin's book, The Kingdom of the Cults, I highly recommend it. You see trends on how cults get started, dynamic personalities. You also see cultish behavior from believers. I think there's a lot of people that have cultish behavior in churches. That there's an introductory text, and I've always spoken about this, but there's an introductory text in the Kingdom of the Cults called The Psychology of Cults. That should just be read as a paper. And maybe I'll just like do a video on that chapter. I think that'd be beneficial. So let me know what your thoughts are on that. Arthur, maybe you should actually use your announcements area on your server to promote those. What are those? Hey, David, he's in the house. What's up, David? Jerome, let me know what you mean by those. And we'll go from there. Well, I try. I usually post stuff. Like, I didn't post this stream there. Maybe I should. Do you mean the shorts and all that stuff? Maybe you might be right. Not might be. You are right. What am I doing? I'm just using 8 different devices here. Your videos. Yeah. Question: are you still considering doing the sit down over lunch theological talks? I think it's really cool and unique idea. Considering doing the sit down over lunch. Sorry, I'm confused. Did I say I wanted to do a sit down theological talk? Like that was a legitimate idea, or was that like, hey, that'd be cool to do? Because I don't have it in my notes. Like, hey, make sure you do this. Yeah, I mean, look, I would love to do that. The setup of it, mic wise and all that stuff, it's just a huge setup. It takes a lot. Specifically, like, I don't mind doing that. Okay, let me. Okay, well, we'll think about that, whether we can do it or not. Thoughts on John 20, verse 29. And the appearance to Thomas in general. There's a lot to ask about it, but I often see or hear I need to have a Thomas experience to believe. Well, we're not. Jesus didn't like die in front of us and resurrect for us to have some kind of a Thomas experience, which is kind of crazy. So let's look at the text, right? Let's pull up the text and look at it and see what's going on there, generally speaking. What is this asking me for? Okay. I updated my computer and now it's asking me for permission for every software I use. Now, Thomas, one of the 12, called the twin, Didymus, was not with them when Jesus came. So the other disciples told him, "We have seen the Lord." But he said to them, unless I see, man, there's stuff happening. Unless I see in his hands the marks of the nails and place my finger in the mark of the nails and I place my hand into his side, I will never believe. That's an intense statement, right? Now, 8 days later, his disciples were inside again. And Thomas was with them, although the doors were locked. Now, that's an interesting thing for John to put in there. Jesus came and stood among them and said, "Peace be with you." Then he said to Thomas, exactly what Thomas asked for. Put your finger here and see my hands, and put your hand and place it in my side. Do not disbelieve, but believe. So that's a direct answer to Thomas's question. Thomas answered, my Lord and my God, which is a phenomenal expression of faith, right? My Lord and my God. A lot of people don't understand what's going on here. People who deny that Jesus is God, it's just hilarious to me that you can come across a text like this where Thomas very clearly confesses Jesus as God and miss it. Which tells me that you have preconceived notions to reading the text. You've already assumed your conclusion. You're not letting the text speak for itself. And Jesus said to him, have you believed because you have seen me? Well, that's clearly the case because Thomas gave certain parameters. Jesus said, blessed are those who have not seen and yet have believed. And blessed, by the way, it can be translated as happy. So you can see there, it says happy. And so my immediate response to this is that Jesus is very, very aware that there's going to be plenty of people that are going to live after the fact. So meaning they won't have Thomas's experience, that are going to believe in him. As a matter of fact, if you go back and read John 17, Jesus actually prays for those of us who believe, who are a later generation of believers. Right? So Jesus prays for his disciples. He goes on to pray for those who will come to believe through the disciples. Let me find it. And verse 20 of chapter 17 says, Jesus says, I do not ask for these only. Those are the disciples. So up to verse 19, he's praying for the disciples. But also for those who will believe in me through their word. So again, Jesus, before the crucifixion, before the resurrection, before any of that has taken place, Jesus prays for those who will believe. And who will believe what? Who will believe in me, who will believe in me through their word. Who's the there? Well, all the guys here, and that's every one of the disciples. That they may all be one. That's you and I. Just as you, Father, are in me, and I in you, that they may also be in us, so that the world, everybody who doesn't believe, may believe. Bro, I gotta get used to this AI stuff. It just keeps popping up every time I click on a word. That the world may believe that you have sent me. The glory that you have given me, I have given to them, that they may be one as you and I are one, so on and so forth. So Jesus is very concretely aware that there's going to be a future generation of believers that are going to come. And so therefore, hey, here's the cool thing. Jesus prayed for you and me. I mean, yes, Jesus intercedes on our behalf and so on and so forth. But even for the unbelievers, currently unbelievers, so if somebody's watching who's not a believer, Jesus prayed for you. Jesus prayed for you if you are one of those that will come to believe and are currently an unbeliever. That's kind of cool. Question. Do you believe in personal accounts of one suffering at the hands of an evil spirit? That's too general of a question, Jacob. Like, do I believe that evil spirits can torment people? Yes. Do I believe that every instance of someone telling me that they're tormented by an evil spirit is an actual torment by an evil spirit? Not necessarily. So, yeah, I believe that's very clearly can happen. But I don't think that everybody that says they're being tormented by an evil spirit is actually, not that they're not telling the truth, but I think they might be misinterpreting what's happening to them. Do you think the disciples would be reformed or charismatic asking for a friend? Here's what I would say, David. Those two things aren't opposed to one another, so one could be reformed and charismatic. So if I were just being a bit, just want to poke at people, and I'm not reformed, but I would say something like they would be reformed charismatics. And that way I would make everyone mad. Answering for a friend is the way I would put that. Well, look, if I were to think, let me answer this kind of frankly. If I thought the disciples would be reformed in their theology, then that would mean I should be reformed. Because the disciples would be right about that. And if I thought the disciples would be charismatic, which very clearly they are, because they're acting by definition charismatic. The word charismatic comes from the word gift, like charisma, the Greek word for gift. They're clearly operating in the power of the Spirit, healing and doing all that stuff. Then everybody should be in that camp as well. Hey, Agape, how you doing? Good afternoon to you. And she's saying good afternoon to all of you guys. Hey, let's go. Let's go. That's going to be turned into a book one of these days. Art, you are too nice. I probably would have to answer the same. Hey, what do you always say, right? I started random argument for people. Nah. Not interested in that. Look, if I have nothing nice to say, even my criticisms are nice. Oh, it doesn't open up on every. Ooh, well, my mic. I'm trying to check out this AI stuff now. Okay, this is cool. I'm going to show you guys this. The little promo for logos. So I pressed on the word God, and this is what it gave me. Okay, it gives you pronunciation.
God.
Pronunciation. God, supernatural being, the God of the Hebrew and Christian faith. Now check this out. This is going to give a breakdown of all, or just biblical, or like within my library. Okay, let's hit library. I'm pretty sure I can like highlight this and tell it to summarize stuff. No, not here. Such a good summary. Look at this. Dictionaries. Grabs nothing. Interesting. Look at that. Cultural concepts of God, biblical. The God of the Israelites, Christian faith. 65 results out of Philo. 57 more. New Testament Apocrypha, 8 results. Old Testament Pseudepigrapha is 1 result. Whatnot. I got to play around with this a lot more. So, how are we feeling, folks? We got about 15 people in here. We got 10 likes. Hit the like button, you guys. And we're just taking questions. I'm out of coffee. That was cold coffee. That didn't taste good. In conclusion, you just say that one who says what I said originally about needing to have what Thomas had is too brave. Not necessarily. So again, yeah, I get you made a comment about like Thomas adjacent and stuff. I don't necessarily think it's a wrong thing to ask God to reveal himself to you. I think these are examples we see in the Bible where God doesn't come down hard on people who ask him very legitimate, sincere questions. About having to experience certain things. So I think I'm okay with people saying, God, look, I'm having a hard time believing here. Make yourself known to me in different ways. I think that's fine. But experiences, I have come to realize in my old age, respect the gray in the beard. Experiences are a fragile and frail thing. All experiences are due to deteriorate because of memory, unless we write them down. And they kind of like get foggy after a while, right? The memory of an experience, the power that the experience initially has kind of wanes after a while. Sort of weird. I feel like at times the more we even I'm being a bit like weirdly philosophical on this subject, but it's very interesting that the more we share an experience, it seems to me that it loses its umphness. And to that, my response is very simply, there are things that you can put your faith on and your trust in that are supplemented by experience, but experience doesn't carry it. One of the things I've noticed is that people who rely solely or entirely on experiences, when those experiences change, their trust and their loyalty to God is lost. Or when they no longer have an experience. Right? I've seen that too often to just kind of not take that seriously, that experiences are just that sort of a thing. Kevin Suarez, what's going on, man? What's up? I went on a study abroad trip last week in London. Man, I know some guys in London that are in this chat. Should have told us, Kevin. Last week in London, and I had an apologetic conversation with some guy who had a lot of New Age beliefs, which was interesting. Did the guy claim to be a Christian? Agape says, I was just going to say that's why it's good to journal, to write down your experiences with the Lord and write your praise down too. Amen to that. Amen to that. This would be a really good time to promote Ruslan's prayer journal. But you can go to Ruslan's channel and get quite a bit of that. I do have his prayer journal, and I like the way it's separated. I think it's really, really good for someone that's starting to journal and needs some structure to it. I haven't, man, I love the cover on the new leadership one. I'll get my hands on that when I see Ruslan next. But yeah, and I should be seeing him in November, so. Oh, he was not a Christian. Okay. What's up, Elijah? How you doing? Yeah, Kevin, you got to give me more. I don't know if you have any specific questions about it. Maybe you're not. You're just sharing what happened. And that's great. Yeah, thanks, Jerome. Thank you, man. Glad to be of service. He was bringing up a lot of what I assume are forgery gospels. There's a reason why they're called the pseudepigraphas. Literally. Of Mary and something. Yeah, man, yeah. So it makes complete sense, Kevin. It makes complete sense because people who tend to gravitate towards and lean on New Age stuff love Gnosticism, because New Age is essentially Gnosticism in a modern variety. And so every single one of those gospels or every single one of those writings that he's bringing up are Gnostic texts. So it makes complete sense why he would gravitate towards the Gnostic texts, because they're exactly what he already believes, or very close to what he believes, since Gnosticism is essentially Neoplatonism. Neoplatonism is very, very, very New Agey. And so to mix, Neoplatonism gets mixed with Jewish and Christian thought. You get the birth of Gnosticism. And then New Agers are exactly doing that in a modern context. So they're going to gravitate towards those texts a lot more. The issue is that none of those texts have any kind of an authority, right? Like, so the Gospel of Thomas, written in the 2nd century, it's like Thomas no longer alive. Both the Gospels of Thomas, the Acts of Peter or the Apocalypse of Peter or any one of those books are going to have a very, very New Age leaning kind of flair to them. And that's why that guy's going to bring it up. I would just be like, well, there's absolutely no reason why we should trust any of these things as credible. Like, they are known as Gnostic writings. The church fathers are responding to them. The early church apologists are responding to them as Gnostic texts that are not Christian. And when you compare the New Testament to the teachings of that stuff, you realize that stuff's way off when it comes to the teachings of the New Testament. But again, it makes sense why people who are New Age leaning gravitate in that area, towards that area. One of his arguments were that every early religion had some sort of flood event. Okay. That's just like, it's not even a religious thing. Like, there's a flood story in a lot of different cultures. What should we conclude from that? I mean, very simply, one of the things we can conclude is that there was a flood, and it's in the memory of human civilizations that an event like this took place. One of the things that you guys might want to work on, and again, Kevin, I'm just using this. This is not necessarily against you or something like that, or even for you. I'm just using this as a springboard for the rest of us as a learning experience. Whenever people make claims, it makes sense to look at those people and say, and then what? Like, what are we to conclude from that? What's the logical conclusion? The logical conclusion can't be, therefore, every religion is right. That seems very far-fetched, and it just logically doesn't follow. Put it down in a syllogism, right? Something like premise 1, every religion has a flood event. Premise 2, whatever it may be, this is true. The flood actually happened, or something like that. And then conclusion, therefore every religion is correct. That just doesn't follow, right? Seems kind of silly. And so one of the ways to have a fruitful conversation is to challenge people on that and say, okay, I'm hearing you, and I agree with you. I think, right? Like, I agree with you on X, Y, and Z. Like, I agree with you that a bunch of cultures have a flood story. I agree with you that the flood actually happened, but I don't know how this conclusion you're arriving at, if that is the conclusion they're arriving at, follows. Can you help me understand that? And then let them explain themselves. That's a pretty good way of having a conversation like that. Because in my experience, one of the things that people kind of keep failing at is in conversation. And look, one of the things that I want to do on this channel is help you guys have more fruitful conversations. I want you guys to learn to be better representatives of Jesus in your life and in your communities and whomever you're talking with. Again, I try to portray that in conversation with you, in conversation with people who call in, whether they're believers or non-believers, is just to listen to them well. And then see where the truth is leading. Because the truth is, very simply beyond us. It exists regardless of whether we believe it or not. And so you say, okay, cool. Like, how do we conclude there? How do we get there? And let them explain that. Let them do the work. Replying to comments. By far, my video on "You Are Not the Bride of Christ" has the weirdest comments on it. Crazy. Yeah, I think it went something like that. And it just ended up getting late. I tended to want to stick to the New Testament validity because that's where I'm pretty good at conversation. Look, again, here's the thing. You don't have to be good in regards to like a subject to ask clarifying questions to people. You can literally know nothing about a subject and be able to navigate through a conversation where you show the person sitting in front of you is coming to incorrect or obtuse logical conclusions from the matter. And what you need to know is how to ask the right questions. That's very important. That is very, very important, okay? And again, my recommendation for that would be to read Tactics by Greg Koukl. That book will train you really well in doing that. Not a question, but reading reactions to apostasy in general baffles me. You either see ignoring the material concerns and blaming sin, etc., or get persecution both in families and government. Okay. I don't know what I can say on that. So, what's up, Narek? How you doing, brother? Chad, how you doing? Epicurious is in the house. What's up, Epicurious? How you doing, man? What type of Christian channel is this? Orthodox, non-denominational, Baptist? Sorry, I recently put out a short about a Hebrew Israelite and his confusion over Protestant and Baptist. I'm a non-denominational Protestant, and so this is an apologetics channel. So I would like that most of the time our conversations are around mere Christianity. But obviously we have theological conversations and my own theological leanings come through. But as a ministry, as a channel, we are a mere Christianity ministry. Let's put it that way. And welcome. I wonder if you've had someone tell you that they became an atheist or a Muslim, etc. before. So I've had that. But when I see it, it's never good or charitable. Maybe it's just a bad, simple quality of people online. Maybe. No, I've had good quality of people tell me, um, oh, so I can't think about anyone that like I had a personal relationship with and a really good conversation who's like I became a Muslim, and then that like most of that conversation has been online. But personally, I've had conversations with people who are like, "Hey, I became an atheist, and here are my reasons, and this and that." And those have been like charitable. There have been good conversations. I think the reasoning, some like I've sympathized with a lot of their reasoning and all that stuff. Uh, yeah, nice to meet you as well. Hey, we're 9 away from 6,000, you guys. We are 9 subscribers away from 6,000. So if there's 16 people watching this, if 9 of you guys are not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe, and we'll hit 6,000 live. Did we hit 3,000 live? I think we hit 3,000 live. I like Christianity insofar as it helps us become happier. I'm for the family values and moral ethics, not so much the stoning and hellfire. What's stoning? I'm not sure about the stoning. I don't know what you mean by that. The New Testament doesn't teach any stoning. Because specifically you mentioned Christianity, so we'll deal with that. Not like, is there stoning in the Bible? Yes, there's stoning in the Bible. But one ought to read the entire thing, right? You're not for the hellfire. I mean, I assume, look, here's what I hear when you say that you're not for judgment, which I also take to mean justice. So let me ask you a question of this sort. Like, what would justice from your perspective look like on humanity? Considering that individuals would be in rebellion towards God, some kind of a conversation like that. If you were God, what would that kind of justice look like? Because all the whole hellfire conversation, the whole hell conversation, ultimately comes down to whether justice ought to be given to humanity that rebels against God utterly and entirely, rejecting God for who He is. I'm very open to having a conversation as to like the nature of hell, but I just want to put that aside and say, let's just say it's hellish existence or whatever, non-existence. God just like poofs you out of existence, and that's hell. It's still a judgment, and still an eternal judgment. The other thing I would say is, like, there's this assumption of like, I like Christianity insofar as it makes us become happier. I don't think that's always the case, that like people just become happier. I mean, quite often throughout church history, one of the things we've seen is people who are very devoted Christians are not, they're joyful people, you could say, but they're not necessarily happy people. Like they go through a lot of agony and suffering and difficulties. And Christianity is sort of that, or brings that about in their lives. And then if the family values and moral ethics aren't true, why be a fan of it? So again, I just want to challenge on this issue of like the truthfulness of what we're talking about, rather than, well, it's got some practical benefit or something like that. Sorry to hear that, man. Hey, I appreciate that. I am the least of your problems. I wish more people could say that about me. Jason says, I was an atheistic Satanist growing up. Wow. This last year, I decided to study the Bible. How old are you, Jacob, if you don't mind me asking? Last year, I decided to study the Bible and try to come close to God after learning the devil is very real and not a symbol for liberation, but actually a evil. Wow, man. Well, welcome. I think this is a good place for you to be at. Jay Rich says, watching on TV. Had to come to hit the like button. God bless everyone. Appreciate you, Arthur. Hey, thank you, man. Thank you so much. They're not enemies, Jerome. They're not enemies. They're people who love me quite a bit. I just, what I'm saying is, you get what I'm saying. Okay, that's a great question. Justice for me from an omnipotent being would be the complete prevention of any gruesome suffering and restorative practices that transform the sinner who has a wicked desire. Say that's a logical impossibility. Or in the midst of doing something like that, you would get rid of genuine human freedom. Remember, omnipotence is properly defined as the ability to do anything that is logically possible to be done. It is not the ability to do anything. So there are things God can't do. You might have never come across this kind of a definition. Quite often I come across people who don't believe in God, who've never actually heard this, or Christians have miscommunicated as to what we mean by omnipotence. Omnipotence is God's ability to do anything that is logically possible to be done. For example, God cannot stop himself from existing. That's a logically impossible thing. No, God cannot create a rock so large that he himself cannot carry, because that's a logically impossible thing. It's a logical contradiction. So suppose what you're proposing, and I think it is, by the way, is a logically impossible thing while attaining genuine human freedom. Genuine human freedom is extremely important when it comes to loving and love relationships. And I don't think we are fully human without a genuine, fully loving relationship. If love doesn't exist, I think we become quite a bit animalistic. And if freedom doesn't exist, we definitely become just animalistic. No different than any other animal that you would come across. So one of the things that gives us our humanity, one of the things that comes with that, is the ability to freely love and allow ourselves to be loved. So I get your, and I sympathize with your desire to, when you say the complete prevention of any gruesome suffering, whatever that means, I'm not very sure I would agree that the complete prevention of any gruesome suffering would be a good thing. I could think of logically possible scenarios in which gruesome suffering brings about a greater good that maybe otherwise cannot be had, but whatever. And then restorative practices that transform. Why is that there's some kind of a guarantee that restorative practices will always result in a restored person? Why are we not under the assumption that some people would never want to be restored? Some people will just say, forget you, I'm going to do it my way. Again, there's an underlying assumption here that everybody wants to be restored. I just don't think that's the case. And there's doctrines in Christianity that speak to this matter. I hope that made sense. Hey, you guys, there's about 20 of us in here. Go ahead and hit the like button. Let's get those likes up. Hey, guys, we just got another subscriber. We are at 5,992 subscribers. Now we got 8 more to go to hit 6K. Again, we might do it. I don't know how long I'm going to be on for, because I do have to leave at one point or another. We've been on for an hour. We're doing good. We're doing good. This is a good stream. Got some really friendly, good conversations here. So stick around as we continue to have these conversations. If you have a Bible question, if you have a specific questions from a specific place in the Bible, go ahead and drop it. I'll pull up my Bible and we'll look at it. What was the podcast called again? I recommend a lot of podcasts, but I think you mean The History of Philosophy Without Any Gaps. The History of Philosophy Without Any Gaps. The History of Philosophy Without Any Gaps. You can go to, here, I'm going to promote this guy because he's not paying me for this. Latest episode, Flexing Your Moral Muscles. I don't know how to, Zanzi on moral cultivation. I am nowhere near the latest episode. As a matter of fact, the episode I'm on is from 2014. I'm 10 years behind on this podcast, you guys. 10 years. And I'm trying to catch up. I listen to a lot, but there's a lot. There's a lot. 453rd episode, right? But I am on episode, I'll tell you where I'm at. And he's got transcripts here. So cool. Where am I? Oh, he's separated it. No. Hang on. I am definitely not there. Where's the Islamic world? I am 10 years behind. Time travel, bro. The episode I'm on is episode 167. Yeah, see, it jumps. 120, and then it jumps. That's because he goes into the Islamic philosophy in the Islamic world. Christian, Muslim, and Jewish philosophy in the Islamic world is not here for some reason. Oh, there it is. I should have looked at that. Yeah. So I just listened to, I'm listening to this one right here. When bad things happen to good people, suffering in Jewish philosophy. This one, Gersonides and Kreskas. Those are the two guys that are talking about time and its relation and all that. So go check it out, man. It'll be beneficial. It's like being in school. Really is. It's really, really serious, deep thought. And it's beneficial. And Christians just generally being aware of thought throughout history and the ideas people have come up with and how those things have been responded to all matters, man. Really, really does. I'm 28. Not trying to sound delusional or off-putting, but I kept being bothered by a spirit who revealed itself as Baal. I don't believe in spirit realm. I didn't believe in the spirit realm. I wept and asked God to help me, and he stopped all of the scary things. Now I'm trying to learn type of theology and just to be a follower of God. Hey, Jacob, do me a favor. Either jump onto our Discord and then private message me, or email me at info@apologiacenter.com. Just get in contact with me, okay? Please. Hey, Arthur, if we have a sinful nature or our will is a slave to sin, how is it free will? Genuine question. The free will conversation, in my opinion, is not about sin nature and sinning and all that stuff. The free will conversation to me is making decisions between, picking up this cup and then not. So there's quite a bit of neutral, you could say, conversations there. I think you can, when we talk about having a sin nature, it really depends as to like how we theologically parse that out And that's important because Jesus says this. Jesus says, how is it that you being evil do good things for your kids that when they ask you for a loaf of bread, you don't give them a scorpion or whatever, right? So what is Jesus acknowledging there? Well, first and foremost, he's acknowledging that we who being evil are able to do these things. So I'm not a fan of the idea that having a sin nature means the total inability to do anything good. I don't think the Bible teaches that. And I also don't think it's necessarily in contradiction to the free will conversation. Hey, what up, Narek? How you doing? Question: do you think David and Solomon went to heaven? I don't see why not. There's debate over Solomon on this, as like whether he repented at the end of his life or whatever. At the very least, we can just say we don't know. I don't know why David would be a part of that conversation. Yeah, I don't see why not. You're a lot younger than I am. That's how I expect you to catch up. You got time on your hands. Bjorn, where are you from, Bjorn? What denomination do you belong to, Arthur? What do you think about Eastern Orthodoxy? I am a Protestant. I'm a non-denominational Protestant. What do I think about Eastern? Look, that's too general of a question. I mean, I'm not Eastern Orthodox because I don't agree with all of the theology of Eastern Orthodox. For the same reason, I'm not Lutheran. Right? For the same reason, like, I'm Armenian. The closest thing to me would be Armenian Apostolic, which is not Eastern Orthodox. It's Oriental Orthodox. And because I have theological disagreements. And I think, excuse me, those theological disagreements are of such a quality where they're not necessarily just secondary issues I could be okay with. And there are a lot of secondary issues I wouldn't be okay with, and I wouldn't be participating in a church, say, who held to those views. So, for example, like I wouldn't be a member of a church that believes in ordaining women to be pastors or priests or elders or whatever. But yeah, I have theological disagreements with Eastern Orthodoxy, and so therefore I'm not Eastern Orthodox. If there's like more, it's too much to generalize like an entire system. There's quite a bit of things I might really like about Eastern Orthodoxy, as a matter of fact. So I think the Eastern Orthodox have a pretty decent view of deification that I like a lot. I've had a scholar on my channel as to a Protestant version of that Luther and Calvin and a bunch of reformers actually believed in, and it's kind of gotten lost within Protestantism, this idea of theosis. Go listen to my podcast with Dr. Carl Moser. Somebody drop that in the description box, please. I think it'd be helpful to that. So the Bible is cool. I like the good parts. Okay. Isn't the criteria for an apostle different than Paul's own criteria? Paul does not qualify to be an apostle in Acts 1. Should I pull up all these passages and look at it as a question? Let me see. I'm just kind of trying to think where you're getting criteria of what an apostle means. The word apostle also just means sent out ones, by the way. And if Paul's applying it to himself like that, it's fine. Let's see. Acts 1. Okay, so here's, so there's a confusion in the way we speak about these things, I think. So this is specifically in replacing one of the disciples or one of the apostles. Paul very clearly refers to himself as an apostle born as the one born out of time, right? So these are criterias that they set in place to replace Judas. This is not a general conversation about apostleship, generally speaking. So maybe a better place for you to go look at is, Acts chapter 15, as to how people are dealing with Paul, or when Paul is selected to go be an apostle to the Gentiles. Right? That's clearly in the text of the book of Acts. So I think, and this is a confusion that's brought up amongst Christians as well, is that there's very narrow definitions of what like the apostles are, these individuals that Jesus selects, versus like also disciples, generally speaking, but also specific to the 12. And then it seems to be that there's the sent out ones that are also called apostles, which are like in modern lingo, I would call these people church planters, that are also a part of like an apostolic call, right? I'm not talking about like modern charismania kind of sort of stuff where people are like, call me apostle such and such. Like I don't think in those kinds of like apostles lead the church and then it's like prophets and past. Like I don't believe in that, any of that stuff. But I'm just very simply saying apostle means sent out ones, and Paul qualifies as an apostle as though someone born out of time or untimely born is the way he puts it. So no, I don't think he does not fit that qualification, because if he didn't fit that qualification, I would have supposed before you came up with that disagreement, Peter would have come up with that disagreement as he did ministry with him. But Peter doesn't in his own writings, clearly. And also, reply, I want to ask you this entire time, how can I message you in depth but embarrassed? No, don't be embarrassed, man. No, absolutely not. People contact me, and if they're not annoying, we're all good to go. I am ancient, very. I was watching a podcast and they had Dr. Bart Ehrman on, talking about the New Testament errors. I don't know a whole lot about this. What is your opinion? So Bart Ehrman is not a Christian. He's a New Testament scholar. I think Bart Ehrman, again, it's general. It's too general for me to just respond all of, because there's quite a bit of things that Bart Ehrman might say that I would agree with and I think are fine. But very clearly, Bart Ehrman reads his conclusions that he's come to more philosophically into the biblical text, so therefore he denies things, like Jesus claiming to be God. So, for example, he'll say, like, nowhere in the Synoptic Gospels does Jesus claim to be God. I completely disagree with him on this, because I think any kind of a use in the Synoptic Gospels where Jesus refers to himself as the Son of Man, or when he forgives sins, and any of those things, is Jesus claiming to be God. So that's one of the things. And there's quite a bit of stuff out there in response to Bart Ehrman that Christian apologists have put out. So if you have a more specific question, Phyllis, put that out there. Given the proposed conceptual boundary of logical possibility regarding omnipotence, should we say God has the property if there are additional metaphysical constraints on what he can or can't do? God is limited by his own nature, is the way I would put it. God's limitations are within his own nature. And there are limitations. And the limitations, again, are not one of power per se, or knowledge or something like that. The limitations are of a logical sort. There are the sort of things that just cannot be done. I don't know how, if we want to, look, if somebody wants to apply the Euthyphro dilemma to God, not in the ethical or moral sense, but more in the logical sense, I think it's very simply a Christian response could be the exact same thing as that these logical laws exist because God exists. They're not empowering on him. But I just think it's so commonsensical to say things that, like, there's things God can't do. For example, God can't stop existing. God can't make a four-sided triangle or something like that. I don't know. Or a triangle that has four angles, or a square circle. Like these because these are definitionally false. Like they don't make sense. They're nonsensical questions. I don't know whether that would agree with the way you're formulating that, maybe, but I'm very sure there's a formulation of it you and I can come up with where we would agree on it. I'm American, but I'm Swedish descent. Do you affirm at least the first three ecumenical councils? Yes. All the way to Chalcedon. Look, that's a Protestant issue. Like Protestants are cool with Nicaea, Nicaea II, Chalcedon. I think Ephesus is involved in there too. But yeah, I'm very boring Protestant, man. For example, it's logically possible to do evil things, but presumably the nature of God's goodness would provide a sort of metaphysical constraint, making it impossible for God to do evil. Yeah, amen. I would amen to that. I don't think God can do evil. I don't know whether there's like too many words in what you're saying and there's a simpler way we can say what you're saying. Probably there is. This is not a shot at you. That's the way philosophy is done. Right, we usually come up with a more concise way of communicating what it is we're communicating. Paul saw Jesus risen. Yeah. Okay. Why is Moses' name spelt like that? That's not what I expected. Sorry. What do you want me to say? Oh gosh. I'm studying the book of Ecclesiastes. On chapter 3, verse 5, what does throwing and gathering stones mean in the context of a time for everything? Hey, Elijah, thanks for bringing this up, because it just so happens. It just so happens. Just give me a second. I'm pulling it up. It just so happens, Elijah, that if you go to my Patreon, here's my Patreon. Someone drop a link to my Patreon. Okay. If you go to collections and you go to Ecclesiastes Bible Study, we have a video right here on that. And I'm still not done with my Ecclesiastes Bible Study. And this should be available to you whether you're a paid or unpaid member on my Patreon. Okay? There's also this playlist that we're working through. Still not done with that. So if you guys want to join Patreon as an unpaid member, you're more than welcome to do so. We would prefer that you join and support the ministry that we're doing. But there's free stuff on Patreon that's there. And we want to add more of that stuff as well. So I don't want to just immediately answer that question because it's not fresh in my mind. If you go to that study, I'm pretty sure it will be helpful. You can watch from the beginning. If I were to just like pull it up and look at the context, right? So for everything, there's a season and a time for every matter under heaven. The idea here is that there's just like a normal occurrence of things that happens, right? A time to be born and time to die, time to plan, like seasons and so on and so forth. And a time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones. This probably has to do with building sort of stuff. I mean, I'll just quickly read the commentary on this for you and see. So How the two opposites in verse 5 are related to each other and to those verse 2 to 5 is uncertain. Many interpretations have been suggested for the meaning of the phrase time to scatter or cast away stones and a time to gather. Perhaps it is best to see them as referring to gathering and rejecting of building materials, is what I just said. This relates these opposites both to the idea of building and to the thought of keeping and throwing away. So there you go. Hopefully that's sort of helpful. Specific claim of what? Man, why is Gavin beating me to videos? Well, because he's Gavin Ortland. Gavin Ortland just released a video. Which claims? Oh, the Bart Ehrman one. Oh, so here, I'll show you. You see this? I haven't listened to it fully. Right? So you can see I've listened to these fully. I haven't listened to this one. Tells you how much I listened to Bart, Gavin. So go check this video out. Drop that link in the comment section for Phyllis, who was asking about Bart Ehrman. I think it'll be helpful. And just a big shout out to Gavin for the work that he does. Hey guys, we're at 5,993 subscribers. So we're 7 away from 6,000. I'm guessing we'll hit 6,000 by tomorrow. Not today. Yeah, amen. Very easily refuted, right? Hey Tyler, how you doing? Hey Tyler, is it your first time on this channel? I've never seen you comment before. Is it normal to struggle with being... Sorry, is it normal to struggle with being disciplined, I guess, to Bible study? I want to study, I feel like so bad, but it's hard for me to stay disciplined. Yeah, that's a normal human sort of thing. And I don't know how old you are, Tyler. My response generally would be develop the discipline. Disciplines get... See, quite a bit of people go, man, I'm gonna start studying the Bible 30 minutes a day. And the practical fact is they can't even read for 5 minutes a day. So before you jump into, studying the Bible 30 minutes a day or whatever like that, or every single day, how about you start small, right? Like I'm going to read the Bible 5 to 10 minutes a day, or I'm going to read the Bible 5 to 10 minutes for 3 days out of a week. And then once you get that down, then you kind of up one that. That's what disciplining yourself looks like. It is not an easy thing just to go from like not doing something to immediately doing it. This is why New Year's resolutions are horrendous and nobody keeps them. Is because you don't do something all year long, right? Like you don't work out, you don't go to the gym, any of that stuff. And then all of a sudden you're like, New Year's resolution, I'm going to go to the gym every single day this year. No, you're not. You are not. And that's why people go and buy gym memberships, and then within a month, nobody's in the gym. And gyms make money. Simple. So it's normal and it's hard. I would recommend maybe start small, start a couple of days a week, do that well. And as you get doing that well, you'll get the other stuff too. Bjorn, what do you think about the Christian philosopher Randall Reiser critique of the Old Testament? That it always... So I disagree with him. I think Paul Copan has responded to him, and they've had a couple of debates with each other. I think Paul's responses to him are pretty good and sufficient. I don't kind of go after Randall and the claims he makes. Like I can't immediately recall like a bunch of stuff, but my recommendation would be watch conversations between him and Paul Copan. Paul Copan's also been a guest on this channel, supporter of this ministry. Great guy. And yeah, so I disagree with him. I don't think that's what the text is teaching. And part of the reason why he believes that stuff is I think he believes certain things about the Bible that I don't agree with fundamentally. And so therefore he says those things and I say different things in regards to it having mistakes in it and wrong things and X, Y, and Z. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so Tyler says, been here a few times, love this channel. Hey, appreciate that, Tyler. Have you commented before? I just haven't seen this. I just want to say welcome to you, man. Great that you've been here before. I don't remember seeing your name in the comment section, so I'm pretty decent remembering people's names when it comes to the comment sections. Look at that. Jerome's like on it, man. Hey, one of the cool things it seems to me has been this early stream has gotten like pretty consistent with us in regards to viewers and interaction, which is really good. And I'm seeing people that I don't regularly see on the streams we do later on. So I'm going to try to do earlier streams. This is a good moment for me to promote a couple of things. So, are you guys ready for this? Hey, drop a 1 in the comment section. I'm going to be like one of those guys. Drop a 1 in the comment section if you're ready for this. Let's get you guys be a little active here. You never stream. Yeah, you never stream 7 p.m. UK time. I'll just do it just for you, brother. Just for you. It's 3 a.m. Where are you, Jad? I'm going to do it just for Jerome. So the UK audience can like fit in. Come on, chat. Come on, chat. Okay. We're going to drop this in there too. I'll drop this one. So, today I'm going to be on the radio locally here in Los Angeles. Okay. And I just dropped a website there. If obviously if you're not around this area and you want to listen to it, that's going to be 3 p.m. West Coast time, Pacific Standard Time. For you guys to go to kkla.com. You can listen to it live at 3 p.m. If you're local here, 99.5 KKLA, I will be on at 3 p.m. on the Pastor Scott Show with Scott Furrow. We're going to be discussing some apologetics questions. As a matter of fact, we're going to be discussing, ideally, we'd be discussing 3 different questions. And the 3 questions that we are discussing are the problem of evil and suffering, how to deal with conflicts with science, whether that's a thing or not, and then when it comes to the exclusivity of salvation and Christian claims. And say, again, those are things I've dealt with on this channel and all that, but just promoting that. West Australia, dude, we're global. Look at that. England, Australia, kicking butt. Well, that's good to know, Jerome. Number two. I don't know if Tom is in here. Is Tom in the chat? Is my friend Tom in the chat? Hey, write a 1 if you're in the chat, Tom. We got a special stream we're lining up for you. Okay, the special stream is going to be on November the 5th, which is election day in the United States. We're going to go live from here. We were trying to do a bunch of stuff, but I think we're going to do it here. And we might have people just like walk in. Okay. I got some friends that are like, hey, I'd stop by. So I've told them it's cool for them to do that. So November the 5th at about 7:30 p.m. our time. So number of West Coast time, number of polls will already be closed. It will depend. We might go on earlier or whatever. We might go on at 7 or something like that. We're going to go live. We're going to have an election stream essentially. So we're going to watch the election results come through and comment on it. We're going to talk about it. Maybe we'll talk about faith and politics, what that looks like. We're essentially going to be watching the results come in around that time. And it could be called as early as like 9 p.m. or something like that, depending on how some of the states go. We might see it called. We might not. I don't know how long we're going to be on. We might be on till midnight. Like, we're going to be in it for the long haul. We might order food and have dinner live on stream with you guys. But there we go. We're talking about it. Tom's in the stream. So, like I said, remember that we got the second the second mic in because we bought this one. And if you want to still help pay for this, by the way, send us the money. You can do that on like Zelle or Venmo or Cash App or whatever like that. We're still paying this off. And so it's going to be very, very interesting. November 6th celebration or protest. Where are we meeting? I'm just saying, November 5th, we're watching the election results come in, and we'll see. We'll see what that looks like. But look, Tom's got a phenomenal personality. I think we're going to have a blast, you guys. I really think we're going to have a blast on that stream. We'll generate that stream thumbnail and all that and promote it. We'll probably come up with like a short or a reel that we'll use as a promotion for it. So there's cool stuff. I'm really excited about that. And Tom was telling me, hey, why aren't we promoting that already? And I said, well, we'll wait like until the week before and then start promoting it. But I'm promoting it live on the stream, and then we'll promote it through various means as well also. So if you want to watch election results with us and we're fun people to hang out with, just know that we're going to be on live. So I put my vote in for Trump in North Carolina. Some of you guys, here's the thing, some of you guys are in swing states right here in North Carolina. We're in California, man. But some of you guys are like legitimately, you guys can be instrumental to how this election goes. And so think very carefully and be wise about how to vote and what to vote for. So yeah, you are in a close state, man. So that last time Tom was on the channel, he decided to talk about me getting baptized. Hey. Jacob says, I've never voted before. Maybe the conversation on faith and politics might change that. Well, you can't wait until the day of the election for us to convince you that you should vote. Oh. Preach it. Preach it. Let's go. Let's go. So our time, it's going to be around, I think, 7 to 7:30 p.m. We'll go live, and it will just stay on live. This right here is like, this is what you should use as a promo. Maybe that should be our thumbnail, like Apologia Center greater than Young Turks. So we're working on a promo. We'll send that out and all that stuff, you guys. Wait, does that imply that if I don't vote for Trump then I didn't count as wise? Um, that's not what I intended on saying. That could be my personal opinion. I was just saying be wise with the way you vote. That was just a general statement. But if you took it like that, just saying maybe you're not. I mean, did you watch that Anderson Cooper interview yesterday with Kamala Harris? That was another dumpster fire. Is it possible for a non-swing state like New Jersey that's already blue turn red? I don't really get politics. I don't know. I don't know whether there's people who are saying that New York is impossible. Like if New York swings red, that would be insane. So some states, there's it's a long shot. Like California turning red is, practically seems impossible. But I don't know whether weirder things have happened. How am I supposed to watch that? I don't know, man. I don't know what to say, Jerome. Sorry. Yeah, it's possible, but not probable. Thank you for the very astute philosophical categorization there, Kevin. Appreciate it. Well, there is enough people that are registered that if they were to actually vote, it would do that. So yeah. Now we've talked politics now. Man, I should let me see if I can pull up this. There was a really funny. Wow, Ruslan is live right now. That's interesting. Can Christians vote Democrat? Wow. We're talking politics, and then Ruslan is live on Bless God Studios, and he's talking about can Christians vote Democrat? Man. Should we review this? Apologia Center greater than PBD valuetainment. Man, they're coming through right here. Apologia Center better than the Young Turks. Apologia Center better than PBD selling tickets. We're not selling tickets.
This is my channel, so I can chime in if I want to chime in. Okay, this is not a formal debate where I'm going to be a squeaky clean moderator. Okay, this is my channel, so if I want to challenge, interrupt them, pastime. And the YouTube banning is it's so fun because it bans people and they don't even know they're banned, so they're just ethered and just sitting there typing, thinking that they're still a part of the conversation, and they're not. Okay, so don't get yourself banned. Don't attack anybody. Don't call anybody stupid. Don't call anybody. I know that's cute to do in the political spectrum. We are Christians. We are called above reproach, and we are going to have a civil conversation. It will be spicy. There will be some disagreement. All that good stuff. I think that's it. Am I forgetting? No, I think that's it. And so we'll get to the informal conversation. But I want to make sure that we lay out some basic ground rules. And for the record, I am not without bias in this conversation, and you will see my bias in this conversation. I don't fully agree with either of these gentlemen on this specific topic, and so I will intercede. I'm sure there will be times where Mike will intercede and chime in. Okay, so I think we're all good. You guys good? Everyone good?
Yeah. Point of order, it's your channel. Wanted to ask you permission, if you would mind terribly, if I would be able to open us up in prayer.
You could totally open us up in prayer.
Sweet.
This is interesting.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Heavenly Father, we come to you today seeking humility, seeking clarity, seeking wisdom. We are in a contentious season, both in our nation and in the church. And all we ask is that you let us set our egos aside. You let us set our presuppositions that are based in pride aside, and that you would allow us to approach this topic, that your truth would shine, and that your glory would be sought, and that those listening would be edified, would be encouraged, and would walk away either emboldened or with their minds perhaps changed. And in the name of Jesus Christ, we pray, amen.
Amen. Amen. So the discussion today is, can a Christian vote Democrat in the broader federal agenda of the Democrat? I don't think we're going to get into your local city council person that's running for Democrat. We're not talking about people that are pro-life Democrats. That's not the conversation that we're going to have. We're going to talk about on the national, federal level, what's up in this conversation for doing this. In this election, November 5th. Can a Christian in good conscience vote for the Democratic agenda, specifically Harris? Okay, that is going to be the conversation at play today. And if they do, what does that mean? Does that mean that their salvation is their salvation null and void? Do they need to be disciplined by their church? Do they get kicked out of Bible study? That is the more or less the agenda that we have on the docket today. Now, does anybody want to go first before we flip a coin or go that direction? Either of you guys prefer to go first?
I concede. I can go first, whatever you want. I'm good with anything.
Okay, and so you are arguing the negative. You're arguing against this premise. Can a Christian vote Democrat? You are going to be arguing no. So you're going to go first.
Correct.
And then Chris is going to respond to you, and then you will get a chance to do a rebuttal. And that needs to be a rebuttal. So don't continue on with the first 5 minutes. You need to actually rebut his points. And same thing for you, Chris. You need to actually rebut his points. Okay, and that's what got me in trouble with the last debate I moderated. So we're gonna really do it right. All right. So there'll be 5 seconds on the clock. You should be able to see the clock on the screen. Everybody else will see the clock. We are not going to have other people's faces, so you will just see John for 5 minutes, and then you will we'll come back, and then you'll see
Y'all
just
can go check that out.
Chris 4 or 5. Because you guys know how the debates go. Someone says something, and you do that.
I might check that out later. I just don't want to watch the whole thing right now. So I was surprised. I didn't know that was the thing that was happening. That's cool. Now we need Ruslan to share this stream, and we can go into infinity. Hey, I spell center just fine. I also spell color just fine. So I don't need that imperialistic spell shaming from the Brits. We are Americans. And Americans decided a long time ago not to listen to the British. And we continue to do so, especially with the way we spell stuff and say stuff. Keep your imperialism to yourself, you British people. Are you ever planning to go on his channel again? Yes. Look, Ruslan is a good friend. I talk to him regularly. Like, we've become actual friends, and we talk to each other. So he was doing a video, and I was watching the video yesterday. And in it, instead of saying martial law, he said martial arts. So I sent him a text yesterday. I was like, dude, that was hilarious. And so we will be together in November. There's a conference that is happening, and you can stream the conference. So let's promote the conference. I've promoted it, obviously, already. Let me actually pull this stuff up so I can show you. So there's a conference happening, and you can get the online tickets to watch the main speakers for really cheap, you guys. So I just need to pull this up for you to see. And Ruslan and I will be doing an online portion there. So I'm going to be with him in November, and hopefully we'll do some of the podcasts and recordings and stuff like that. So Why am I having a hard time finding this? So, and so if you can come, Escondido, California, you guys, some crazy speakers. I really liked Mike Jones's promotion of this. I'm actually going to pull that up. It was really good. Let's go inspiring. Here's Mike Jones promoting this event.
Come out and meet me at the Sound Faith Conference in San Diego, where I'll be speaking on how sci-fi and fantasy can solve the problem of evil and archaeological evidence for the Exodus. I'll be joined by great speakers like William Lane Craig, Mike Licona, This Nerd, and many others. Register at soundfaith24.com and I'll see you there. This November, come out and meet.
I threw Eric Hernandez under the bus, called him This Nerd. These are phenomenal guys. And again, great speakers. Come in person, and then there's a bunch of breakout sessions by people, or you can just get the online portion as well. Okay. This is online. Early bird's done, so you can always buy that. So go check it out. I dropped the link there. Cool speakers. It's not going to cost you a lot of money. Okay. If you're going to watch online, it's not going to cost you a lot of money. If you're going to come in person, it's not going to cost you a lot of money. But go check that out. And then if you're going to come in person, make sure you stop me and say hi and let's hang out. So yeah, there's quite a bit of really fun stuff that's on the horizon. And then Ruslan's conference is also happening. That's going to be happening in March, so that's a number of months away. And I'm going to be announced as one of the speakers for that one, so I will be speaking at that. We're waiting for the announcement to drop. And then once it does, then I'll give you guys more info about what the subject is and what I'm going to talk about and all that stuff. It's really, really fun and interesting one. Hey, it's been fun. We're at 1 hour and 45 minutes. I want to go have lunch because then I got to get on my way. Get to the studio. I want to conserve energy because we're going to be on live on the radio for at the very least an hour. Might go beyond that. Subscribe to the channel if you're unsubscribed. Hey, support us on Patreon or just support the ministry. Get in contact with me. The website is down right now, you guys. Last night, we're in the process of redoing our website. And a couple of weeks ago, I stopped my subscription to Wix. And then it just went down. I wasn't expecting it to go down like that, but it went down. So I think by tomorrow, we'll have a landing page. If you go to apologiacenter.com right now, you're not going to see anything, but we'll have a landing page on there tomorrow. By tomorrow night or something like that. And then we'll redo the website. And yeah, with all that said, I will see you guys tomorrow when we do our whatever, 12 questions, 13 questions, 7 questions, whatever it may be. God bless you guys and take care.